This breathing technique that I'm going to be bringing to you today has really impacted my life and has impacted how my asana practice has been inspired. And I want to describe so much about what it's benefited me with or how it's influenced me, but yet I also feel that the experience without knowing why it could be good for you is really important, because what it affects for me that's good could be different for you. So let's just go to the mat and really take off some of our thinky minds and see if we can pay attention to the instructions as well as we can. Do the movements without them being sort of dictated to from like an outside in, but see if you can feel it from the inside out. And there is no right or wrong in this. And the more times you do it, you're really going to have a different experience. So let's just see what happens when we go to the mat. Okay, so I'm going to be laying down on this blanket because I think it's a nice soft landing. Also, to keep the back of my pelvis quiet and my legs not having to work so hard, what I'll also be doing is putting a block and a strap in between my thighs, and then have the strap wrapping around my thighs so they can just really relax and not have to be a part of keeping the knees bent. I find that this works best if the knees are bent and that your feet are on the ground. Even though they'll be fairly passive with this, they'll still be able to be part of the structure, as opposed to when they're straighter and your pelvis is kind of pulled out of a passive alignment. So let's see what happens if we do this. When we take our belts and you just make a nice loop of it. And then step through, lay down, have your block nearby, and we'll place it where it can be. So you want the belt to be tight enough but not restricting, because we'll be here for a while. Okay. Take a few moments to lay on the ground. I'm going to suggest that you have your palms facing up and the arms just out to the side at a comfortable position from the body. Notice the body in the ground. So you notice the spirals of the heels, the mounds of the feet, the toes. Feeling the sensation if you've decided to use the block and the strap, feeling the block and strap as support. See if it is. And what does it feel like with the pelvis and the lumbar, the middle of the back and the upper back? What do they feel like on the ground? And without making it something that you're going to adjust, just notice, because this is really about noticing where you're at. And if we are going to make changes in anything in the form, we need to know where we're at a starting point. What do the shoulder blades feel like? The arms, the back of the head. Now, notice your breathing. Just notice what breathing feels like. With the next inhalation, and then the exhalation, pause the exhalation. So you feel the exhalation getting to a point where you become ready to inhale. So we're waiting for the readiness for the inhale. So we're imagining that there's a pause. However long that is unique to you. So there's an inhale followed by an exhale, and you're just allowing the exhale to stay paused. And find one more of these breathing patterns where you're inhaling, and then when you exhale, you allow it to just pause on the exhale, and then it just comes up because your nervous system is just going to say, okay, now it's time to breathe, and you allow it. Now your hands can stay out at your sides, or they can move to different body parts. So we're going to be starting with the lowest ribs. So if your hands want to come to these lowest front ribs, bring them here. Focusing on purpose that now when you inhale, lifting your lower back slightly from the ground as you lift your front lowest ribs. And then you exhale and they just come back down. Inhale and you are lifting them to whatever capacity you have, making it a bit easy. Noticing if it isn't. And then you exhale and it comes down. Let's do one more like that, just in the middle, feeling both sides of these lowest ribs coming up, and it makes a bit of a back bend in the lumbar spine. When you exhale, it just comes back down. Now, bring your awareness to the right side. And let's see what that feels like as if you're lifting the lumbar with the right side of the lowest ribs. And it comes back down. Go to the left side. What does it feel like lifting the lower back from the left side of the ribs? And when it comes back down. Continue this back and forth, just slowly. One side has the experience of lifting and settling. And as you do this, you can start to notice, is there an easier side? For me, I notice my left side feels a little easier for the lift. The command just happens easily while I'm relaxed. And I notice that my shoulders aren't involved, or I haven't had some other part of my system compensate for these ribs to lift my lower back. So do your easiest side and then do your harder side, if there is a harder side. And then come back into a middle lift and just feel what that feels like, lifting your lumbar from the lowest ribs in the middle and down, and then just pause. Now bring your awareness to the center of your chest, or the sternum that runs connecting your ribs, and just see if we can lift the lumbar by moving the sternum kind of up and towards our face or the wall behind us. And then coming back down with exhale. The inhale, it lifts the lower back. And so we're seeing that everything stays kind of draped off, but it's this upper chest that's lifting up and backwards to lift the lumbar. And continue a few more times. Seeing if the breath can be very soft. Is it possible to do this movement without tensing a bunch of parts of us? Or when we do this, are there parts that tense? Now let's start with the right side lifting. So it's the right side of the sternum lifting, and the lumbar lifts off the ground to some degree. On the exhale, it settles. Other side. And continue this, moving from side to side. Noticing what happens on the side that might be easier. Can it help support and train the side that's maybe a bit harder to move or lift? And then come back into the center and now lift with the sternum as the central point for lifting. And it lifts up and kind of backwards towards the wall behind to lift the lumbar spine, and then it comes down, settling. Do this again. The inhale is the lift, and the exhale is the settle. And then just pause, breathing naturally. Now let's alternate. Let's lift with the lowest front ribs to lift the lumbar and down. And then the next inhalation, it's the sternum that lifts the lumbar and down. The ribs that lift the lumbar and down. And then the sternum and down. Now move them in tandem so you feel the ribs and the sternum moving to lift the lumbar off the ground, and when we exhale, they both come down together. So feeling that they work together, unified, keeping the breath slow and long if you can. And then when you next exhale, just pause and have a moment. Now let's switch this. It's going to be the exhale that lifts the lowest ribs to make the lumbar lift. So inhale and you're neutral. Exhale and lift the ribs that lift the lumbar. Inhale, they go down. Exhale, they lift. Inhale, they go down. Move from side to side. Exhale, it lifts. Inhale, it goes down neutral, pausing. And then the other side. And continue this from side to side. The exhale does the lifting now. The inhale is the pause and the neutral. Move to the center. Exhaling to lift from the center place. Inhaling down. And then just pause, notice. Bring the awareness to the sternum, and now inhale here in the center. Exhale, lift the sternum to lift the lumbar. The inhale, it goes down. Exhale, lift. Inhale down. Exhale, lift. Inhale down. Moving from side to side. Exhale, lift one side of the sternum to lift the lumbar. Inhale down. And move from side to side. Can the easy side train the side that might feel harder? The side that's harder, it might be harder. You'll know that because your arm is involved or some parts of your legs, or there isn't a lift. Come back into the center, sternum lifting. as you exhale. One more lift in the center with the sternum lifting to lift the lumbar. And then when you inhale, just pause in neutral. Now let's move and alternate. Inhale, neutral. Exhale, lift the lowest ribs to lift the lumbar. Inhale down. Exhale the sternum to lift the lumbar. Inhale, neutral. One more time like that, alternating. And now move them together. There's the inhale while you're neutral. The exhale, the lowest ribs and the sternum lift in tandem. The inhale is neutral. The exhale, they lift. And then just pause and have a moment of noticing. If you'd like, you can roll to your side and have a moment on your side. Now come back to your back if you've been on your side, and we're going to move this in a different way. So now we're going to be smushing down to the ground. So let's inhale the lowest ribs to smush the lumbar down all the way to the pelvis. The exhale is neutral. Inhale, smushing it down all the way to the back of the pelvis, to the sitting bones. The exhale is neutral. One more inhale, smushing down. Exhale is neutral. Move from side to side. Inhale, smushing down one side of the ribs all the way down to the pelvis, to the sitting bone on that side. Exhale is neutral. Inhale, smushing down the other side all the way through the pelvis to the sitting bone, and continue this. So the inhale does the downward smush and widening. The exhale is neutral. Go to the center. Inhale, downward smush to both sides of the pelvis, to the both sitting bones. The exhale is neutral. Do one more like that. Pause. Now moving the sternum down. So inhale, move the sternum down to smush the lumbar down and go through the pelvis to the sitting bones. The exhale is neutral. Inhale, smush the sternum down. Follow through the spine, through to the pelvis. The exhale is neutral. Inhale, smushing down. Exhale is neutral. And now go from your side to your side. The side of the sternum, inhaling, smushing it down. Exhale is neutral. Other side. The next inhalation, take it through the center. The sternum smushes down, all the way to smush the lumbar down, the pelvis to the sitting bones, feeling wide inside that space. And the exhale is neutral. One more. Inhale, down, smush and widen. Exhale is neutral. Pause. Now let's move the lowest ribs down, inhaling, smushing down. Exhale is neutral. Inhale the sternum down, smushing down through the lumbar, through the pelvis. Exhale is neutral. And go back and forth a couple times, inhaling down the ribs. Then inhaling down the sternum. And now let's see if they can work in tandem. So we'll go inhaling down through both the ribs and the sternum, all the way through the lumbar, through the pelvis to the sitting bones. Exhale is neutral. One more, inhaling down. Exhale is neutral and pause. Just feeling the effects of pausing and noticing what it feels like for the body to be in the ground. And now let's transition. So now it's going to be the exhale that takes down the lowest ribs. So we'll inhale as a neutral. Exhale, smush the lowest ribs down. Inhale's neutral. Exhale, smush down. Inhale is neutral and move from side to side. Lowest ribs. Exhaling, going down and wide through one side, and then the inhale is neutral. And don't be in a hurry to go from side to side. Allow a little pause, and then now it's the exhale on the other side. Down and smoosh to the sitting bone, and then come back and alternate again. The inhale is neutral, the exhale is the down and smoosh. The inhale is neutral, the exhale is down and smoosh. The inhale is neutral, and now come back and do that in the middle. Lowest ribs down, exhalingly. And then the inhale is neutral. Do one more in the middle. Exhaling down from those ribs, through the lumbar, through the pelvis, through the sitting bones. And then come back and be neutral. Pausing, noticing. We'll move up to the chest, to the sternum. So we'll inhale as neutral, and then down, smush the sternum down through the lumbar, through the pelvis to the sitting bones. The inhale is neutral. The exhale is down. The inhale is neutral. Exhale down, smoosh wide. Inhale is neutral. Do your sides, one side of the sternum down. The inhale is neutral, and the other side. Exhaling down and smush. The inhale is neutral. And as you continue a few more times from side to side, feeling a side of the sternum going down to smush, use your easiest side to show or to train the side that might be a bit harder. If you're ready, go to the middle. So the middle of the sternum going down all the way through the pelvis to the sitting bones. The inhale is neutral. One more exhale down. Inhale is neutral. Now alternate, exhale the lowest ribs down. Inhale is neutral. We'll exhale the sternum down. The inhale is neutral. Now do both together, both going, exhaling down. Inhaling is neutral. Do that a couple more times. They coordinate. One more time if you wish. And then just pause. Notice what the body feels like. Now bring your awareness back to the sternum, and we're going to be imagining that there's a handle that, instead of when we were doing our back bends where the sternum moves towards the wall behind, here it's going to be feeling like it comes up to the ceiling, and the shoulder blades will kind of come together a little bit at the back in order for the sternum to go straight up to the ceiling. And then when it smushes down, you'll feel the shoulder blades widen a little bit away. So here we go. So thinking of the handle on the sternum, let's inhale it to the sky. Exhale, neutral. Inhale the handle of the sternum to the sky. Exhale to neutral. One more, inhale the handle to the sky. Exhale is neutral. Pause. Now inhale the sternum down to the ground. Exhale is neutral. Inhale it down. Exhale, neutral. One more, inhale down. Exhale is neutral, and just pause. Now, inhale in neutral and exhale and lift. Inhale is neutral. Exhale is lift.
Inhale is neutral. Exhale is lift. Come down, pause. Inhale and neutral, and now exhale, it goes down. Inhale is neutral. Exhale it down. And then just pause. We'll add to this, but you may wish to take your block and strap out, have them to the sides. Bring your knees in towards your chest, feeling a kindness of the legs as they come in. Rock a couple times from side to side if that suits. Or roll to one side and pause. Come back into the center. Lift your pelvis and just reset it down. Now we're going to draw the belly in towards the spine as you inhale, sort of contrary to natural shaping, and expand the whole rib cage. So inhale, drawing it in, and the rib cage expands. Hold the breath and expand the belly, and then the chest, and then the belly. Release the breath and pause. We'll do that again. So it's the inhale, widens the rib cage, the belly draws in. Hold the breath. Push the expansion in all directions of the belly, then the chest, then the abdomen, and the chest, and maybe release the breath and have a moment. Now, in incremental expansions, we're going to expand all the way from the pubic bone all the way up into, say, the shoulder girdle. We're going to keep the expansion as we come inhaling. So we'll start our inhale and just walk the fingers up the body as each place expands into a full column of expansion. And then exhale it all back down to the low belly. Breathe naturally. And let's do that again. Perhaps your fingers are going to walk. Do the walking. So expand from the pubic bone. Expand the muscles wide in all directions as you continue to inhale, keeping the expansion of the abdomen in all directions, the ribs in all directions, up to the shoulder, and then release it all back down to the belly. Pause. Now do this one more time where you feel it more, the inhale towards the back body. Inhale the back body all the way up to the head. Exhale, just a neutral spine. Inhale the front body lift. Exhale, a neutral spine. And pause. Now bring the hands so that the palms face your face. And feel an energy. Bring them as close or as far that you can feel kind of a vibrating energy between the hands and the skin. And then slowly roll around some imagined surface or space that you can still feel that energy between the hands and the head, and find whatever shaping or movements that suit. And just feel a kindness of the hands, and you maybe start to work them down through the arms, one hand on top of each arm and then the other way, and around through the torso, back up through the head, the face, through the body. Bring the knees up and go over the thighs, the knees. Imagine it going over the feet, top of the head, and any place to feel a kindness connection of your mind and the energy surrounding the body. When that feels complete, the arms can come back to the sides, or maybe the hands go to the belly. Bring a clarity to the mind. And then roll over to one side and come up. Come up, transitioning slowly. So you start by sitting. Maybe just wrap your arms around your knees. See what that feels like to be up. You've been a long time on the back. And then make a transition to come all the way up to standing. And when you come up to standing, have your feet a comfortable distance apart, and just feel where the pelvis lines over the feet. And then feel where the rib cage lines over the pelvis. And feel where the arms come down from the shoulder girdle. And what's the position of the head? Is it possible that the alignment is easy and effortless? Is it possible that there's no bracing in the belly or the form to stand? Perhaps we can call this Tadasana, effortless mountain pose. I hope you enjoy.